is what they're using to preserve the food, the stuff. So spoke about the extra virgin oils like the flaxseed, avocado, olive oil is what they're using to preserve. And then we look at the dairy products and eggs. Spoke about what types to use. And we had the omega-3 in the types of fish that were mentioned, which protects the heart and the brain. And then she mentioned about the not only having the fish having those, but also the chia seeds, flaxseed, and walnuts having that same omega-3 that you need for your heart and brain. And then she mentioned about the chicken and the turkey, which part is best for you? The breast, right? Because there's hardly any fat content in that part. With the legs and the thighs and the wings and the skin is where the fat resides. And so people just love to eat the skin. They buy the chicken just to eat the skin. Does it make sense? No. Okay, any questions? How are we going so far? We're going at a nice pace, the traffic light. So we're going to the next one will be what? No. No, she said the white meats are the turkey and chicken, but the parts of the turkey and the chicken is the breast. But the wings and the thighs and the skin and the legs are where.
Okay. Well, let me ask you. Okay. I know it said that some parts of chicken or turkey is better than other parts.
Correct.
Okay, so breast.
Yeah, the breast, where the least amount of fat is stored in the
Okay.
Yeah.
And is the breast white or dark? White.
Right. The turkey has dark streaks, while chicken is white.
Okay, so turkey is dark, chicken is white.
The turkey has different parts, dark parts and light parts. The chicken entirely is white.
Okay, is one part better, the dark or the white meat?
Yeah. The darkest should be avoided because, like for example, the reds are very high in cholesterol. That's how you know the difference.
Oh,
that's why the choice is white.
And you said the white meat is better to eat.
Yeah. Dark and pieces. Yeah.
Okay, so it's better to eat
The white
meat.
Yeah, the white meats. Yeah, that's what's recommended. The white meats. You avoid the red meats like the lamb and the beef.
Okay, so the breast and the wings are white meats. Okay.
Wings, legs, and thighs of both birds are fat.
Okay. I don't know. For some reason, I was just thinking about the television show. So breast is better. If you remember the TV show. No, I said, if you remember the TV show, man, they always used to say the breast it's better. Okay. Chia seed is good. Okay. Chia seed and a flax seed are good. Okay.
Several years ago, I was hit by a truck because I was running across the street when I didn't have the right of way. Before I knew what was happening, I had jumped up on the hood, slid across, and landed safely on the other side. The only thing that got run over was all the groceries I'd been carrying. It ended up being a funny story, but it could have ended very tragically. Sometimes it's a little inconvenient to obey the rules of the road, but these rules are designed to protect us. And so are the rules of nutrition. Green means go, yellow means slow, and red means no. Red light foods are foods that should be greatly minimized or avoided altogether. Brenda, what can you tell us about red light foods?
Well, first of all, that was quite a story, Wes. I'm really glad that you were not hurt. Remember the analogy that when you have a disease like diabetes, it's kind of like your body is a house on fire. Green light foods are like the water on the fire. Red light foods are like the gasoline. These foods raise blood sugars, promote inflammation, raise cholesterol and triglycerides, promote weight gain, and significantly increase the risk of many different diseases. Ideally, red light food should be completely avoided, but if you do choose to eat them, please make sure it's on a very limited basis. The first red light food group is refined grains. When a kernel of wheat is refined to produce white flour, we remove almost everything of value to human health. Grains are made up of three main components: bran, germ, and endosperm. Refining removes two out of these three. The first is the bran, where most of the fiber is, and the second is the germ, which it really is the storehouse of nutrients for the kernel of wheat. What's left is the endosperm, otherwise known as starch. This process removes about 75% of the vitamins and minerals, 90% of the fiber, and 95% of the phytochemicals that the wheat kernel originally contained. But it doesn't stop there. Nobody sits down and eats a bowl of white flour. Before we eat the flour, we add fat, sugar, salt, flavors, preservatives, and colors to the flour, and then we eat it. We find refined grains in breads, bagels, cereals, pasta, cakes, cookies, pies, pastries, crackers, pretzels, and other baked goods. Sometimes nutrients are added back to the flour in a process called enrichment, but the end product is still missing the fiber, the phytochemicals, and many vitamins and minerals. So although enrichment is desirable, it's a very distant second choice to leaving the grain intact in the first place. That's why we've encouraged you to eat green light grains. But unfortunately, the average American eats about 6 servings of refined grains every day and less than 1 serving of whole grains. Close to 90% of our grain intake and 70% of our total calories comes from refined grains. Refined grains contribute to low-grade inflammation in the body. They're broken down to sugar, so once absorbed, their impact is similar. Refined grains are linked to increased abdominal fat, atherosclerosis, diabetes, and early mortality. Refined carbohydrates, including both starches and sugars, should be greatly minimized in the diet. Be sure to get the vast majority of your starches from green light grains and a smaller percentage from yellow light grains. If you do eat red light grains, be sure it's a very small amount, no more than 1 or 2 servings each day. Refined sugars such as white sugar, brown sugar, syrups, jam, jelly, candy, and sweet drinks such as soda are even more damaging to health than refined grains. Of course, many refined grain products have large amounts of sugar added. The average American eats about 30 teaspoons of sugar every day. This is about 480 calories, or almost 25% of calories in a 2,000 calorie diet. Close to half of this excess sugar comes from soft drinks. Much of the sugar comes from high fructose corn syrup, which is even more unhealthful than cane sugar or table sugar. Excess sugar consumption wreaks havoc in the body in multiple ways. It contributes to weight gain, high triglycerides, insulin resistance, and inflammation, which in turn increases the risk for many diseases, including diabetes, heart disease, and even cancer. The effects of fructose are even more pronounced than that of glucose. In fact, fructose has been shown to increase the formation of advanced glycation end products 8 times more than glucose. AGEs accelerate almost every disease process known to mankind and contribute to aging. It's so critical to minimize refined sweets and foods with added sugars. Of the 60,000 foods available in grocery stores, 80% of them are spiked with added sugar. That's another reason why it's so important to eat whole foods and to read the labels of the packaged foods you do eat. It's very natural to crave sweet foods, but nature provides them in much healthier forms. Your health will greatly benefit if you replace your usual sweets with whole fruit. Try making fruit smoothies or ice cream with frozen fruit like bananas and strawberries and a little nut melt in the blender. I replace sugar in almost all of my baking, including cookies, bars, muffins, and raw treats with dried fruits like dates and prunes and pears, which provide valuable nutrients and fiber. With a little practice, healthy sweets can become very satisfying. At 120 calories per tablespoon, oils are full of fat, but are very low in nutrients. Green light fats come from whole foods such as avocados, nuts, seeds, and olives. Yellow light fats come from extra virgin cold pressed oils. They aren't as nutritious as high fat whole foods, but they have more vitamin E and phytochemicals than regular oils. Virgin cold pressed oils are extracted physically without chemical manipulation. Non-virgin oils are refined even further and often undergo chemical treatment. Our grocery store shelves are filled with too many processed packaged foods to count. Processed foods make up 70% of the American diet, from frozen dinners to baking mixes, margarines, canned goods, chips, microwave popcorn, cookies, and many other snack foods. These foods meet us at every turn. But although they're popular and convenient, processed foods are loaded with empty calories. Many of them are full of chemicals and food toxins. Healthy foods, once processed, can do more harm than good. Packaged foods often contain trans fats, which increase the risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer, even more than saturated fats do. Trans fats are created by adding hydrogen to vegetable oils under pressure to turn them into solid fats. But research has found trans fats to be so dangerous that in 2008, New York City actually banned them from being served to the public. Thankfully, the FDA is now taking steps to ban trans fats completely. This simple change would prevent an estimated 20,000 heart attacks per year. But unfortunately, some trans fats are still available, so we need to take the initiative to ban them from our own diets. Make sure to read nutrition labels. Even if a product claims to be trans-free, this might not be true. Products with less than half a gram of trans per serving still qualify as being called trans-free. The best way to ensure a packaged food does not contain trans fats is to read the ingredient list. If you see the word shortening or partially hydrogenated oil, the food contains trans fat, even if it says trans-free. If you are eating out, there is no foolproof way to avoid trans fats. However, if you avoid deep fried foods and stick to healthy vegetarian options, you'll actually minimize your chances of getting any trans fats in your meal. Also ask for olive oil instead of margarine. Fried foods are loaded with fat, calories, and sodium. When we submerge our foods in pure fat, we triple the calories. For example, a large baked potato has about 220 calories. Turn it into French fries, and the same potato contains almost 700 calories, 480 of which are pure fat. It's not just the calories that are the issue. Many foods that are fried in cheap oils contain trans fats. Also, when oils hit their smoke point, very high temperatures, which often happens with deep frying, toxic byproducts or toxic compounds are formed that increase oxidative stress and contribute to disease processes. For anyone struggling with metabolic problems, these oils should be avoided completely. The next red light group is cheese and full-fat dairy. While these foods are staples in the Western diet, they're loaded with fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol. High-fat dairy products increase the risk of heart disease, diabetes, and many other illnesses. Conventional dairy products contain hormones that promote hormone-dependent cancers, such as breast, ovarian, and prostate cancer. Dairy sometimes contains traces of antibiotics, pesticides, and other toxins. Some research also suggests that dairy consumption may increase the risk of type 1 diabetes and other autoimmune diseases in some individuals. Although we've been taught to believe that dairy consumption is necessary for bone health, this is just simply untrue. It's true that dairy products are high in calcium, but that doesn't make them essential foods any more than it does moose milk or deer milk, which incidentally have about twice as much calcium as cow's milk. We get plenty of calcium from plant foods such as dark green leafy vegetables, tofu, legumes, and fortified plant-based products. You can also protect bone health by reducing the amount of sodium you eat, which will help prevent calcium loss, and also by getting regular exercise, which strengthens your bones. Don't let the dairy industry fool you. You don't need milk to be healthy or strong. If you do choose to use dairy, remember that yellow light, organic, fat-free, or low-fat products are better options than full-fat, non-organic products. Red meat, such as beef, lamb, pork, and veal, is high in saturated fat and cholesterol. Red meats dramatically increase the risk of many diseases, including diabetes, some forms of cancer, heart disease, and premature death. A National Institutes of Health study found that when people increased their usual red meat consumption by about half a serving per day, which is only the size of about a half a deck of cards, it's about an ounce and a half, they had 48% higher risk for developing diabetes in the following 4 years, while people who decreased their red meat consumption had a reduced risk. If you're just beginning your transition towards a more plant-based diet and you want a reasonable substitute, try some of the amazing veggie meat replacements. Although they're high in sodium, they are much lower in fat, and they're also cholesterol-free. Processed meats such as wieners, salami, sausages, ham, bologna, bacon, Spam are far worse than unprocessed red meats. According to the Nurses' Health Study, which followed over 120,000 people for 28 years, eating just one serving of processed red meat a day was associated with a 20% increased risk of dying during the study. One serving is equal to 1 ounce of processed meat or a half an ounce of bacon. Not only are processed meats full of saturated fat and cholesterol, but they also have extremely high sodium levels and are often full of unhealthy chemicals that extend their shelf life. The American Institute for Cancer Research recommends that we limit red meat and completely avoid processed meat. And that concludes our discussion on red light foods. Remember, nutrition guidelines are designed to protect us. Healthy food is powerful medicine. The more you invest in quality nutrition, the more your health will thank you. So fill your plate with Greenlight Foods today.
Okay, so we saw the red light foods, which means no. First one was refined grains, refined sugars, processed packaged foods, fried foods, cheese and full fat dairy. And then we had processed meats. And this one with the processed packaged foods, it's Americans consume 70%. Imagine that out of 100. And then 60,000 persons, and that's 80% of the stuff that's out there. That should be red light foods. So why is it that we are attracted, or do we navigate toward those foods that are red light food? Oh, so yeah, it's a taste buds. All right. I remember reading in a book where they gathered 100 scientists, and each scientist was given $1 million. They had to come up with a formula in the lab that when people taste or see or smell those foods, they would virtually forget everything else that around them and just homing on that. Like when you know those soldiers in the army and the Air Force, when they have those heat-seeking missiles, those missiles only go to a place where there's a heat source. If it's cold, the missile will just turn around and get back to it. But once there is heat, that's how they did the powerhouses and those factories. That's how they are able to target and zoom in on them and things. So we are involved in a battle every day of our lives. It's not just a moment. You go.
When you go to the supermarket, you also have to notice where they position the food.
Correct.
Your fruits and vegetables normally on the outside of the supermarket. Once you go to the middle, what's at eye level,
Yes.
many times it's not healthy.
Yeah.
In case in point, when it comes to cereal, there are different types of cereal, some
Yeah.
more healthy than others.
Yeah.
Some have more fiber, like, for example, All Brand,
Yeah.
or Fiber One, but they're higher up on the shelf.
Yes.
But yet, the Frosted Flakes and your
Right
Fruit Loop
Right here.
are at eye level.
Right there. Yeah.
So a lot of times the foods aren't healthy. They put them there so you can see them.
So they use a strategy.
Yes.
Okay. That you may see something, it's $1.99. But you see $2. The $1.99 is cheaper, but it's just a cent difference. You see? So that is how the marketing strategies are designed. Just like how you sit down and study for an exam at the college or university, those guys sit down and they study exactly the human psyche and what appeals to you. Why they use these models to show cigars, smoking, or drinking beers and those sort of things, because it's attraction for the eyes.
Also, years ago, the American diet, McDonald's lived off of it.
Yeah.
Meat and potatoes.
Potatoes, yeah.
When they first came out, they
Yeah.
said, we can give you meat and potatoes for just under $1.
Yeah.
You would get a hamburger
Yes.
and a small fry.
Fast food, yeah.
And they said meat and potatoes is what we need to give our body energy,
Bodies, yeah.
which is false. But that has gone down from tradition,
Yeah.
from one tradition to the next tradition, which is false.
Church. And right in America here, they did this research and they were wondering what caused women to have so much breast cancer. and they found out that it is cheese. The cheese that we like to eat so much. It's very dangerous. So the processed cheese are actually it's the cheese, the what do you call the cheese? The normal one that everybody buy.
Craft, cheddar, craft.
The, it's from New Zealand.
The cheddar cheese.
Get
that-
cheddar.
Mhm.
That is the danger. And
That's
that
good, yeah.
is mostly found in all the burgers that you buy, which is
Yeah.
dangerous. So we have to be careful what we buy and what we eat, because you might be eating a burger, you might not know the danger between all those little fat and stuff that they put. They might put this, they put that, put the other, and put the next. When you think a bit of it, just imagine how much calories, cholesterol, and all the rest of it you're taking into your body when you just eat one. You must say it's only one, but then it's very dangerous. And remember that we can develop breast cancer. Women, we have to be careful.
They said, do not buy the sliced cheese. There's a gentleman I like to watch. And he says, like, do not buy the sliced like Borden and Kraft cheese. He says, when you need to get cheese, you need to get the solid cheese. It's like the solid cheese is better than the sliced cheese. He says, but you see, it has less, it's like when you start looking at the ingredients, it's like there's less ingredients with the hard cheese as opposed to like the soft sliced cheese.
Well, we must remember one thing with cheese. If you take a slice of pizza, it comes out the oven, the cheese is running. If you let the cheese sit for an hour, it gets hot. They said that's what it does within our own body. So cheese overall is not healthy. And I remember I read somewhere that what binds cheese together, they use pork to bind it together. So a lot of times, really, we know what we're ingesting. It's not something that your body was designed to even break down when it comes down to cheese. Our bodies aren't designed, they say, to even break down meat, but it's something that is given in our country. And one of the famous foods that everybody likes is pizza.
Mm.
But pizza, it tastes good.
Yeah.
But the cheese on it is
Not
not
again.
healthy.
There's the fat. The fat is
Yeah.
what the taste, but there's
Right.
Go ahead.
It doesn't have to cool down for the
Mhm.
cheese to get hard.
All right, yeah.
Now, that's important. If it cools down, pizza could be 100 degrees and the cheese is already hot.
Yeah.
You know what your body needs at the temperature?
98.6.
So if that cheese is in you, we're here for the slide this morning, and what it looks like inside of it. That's why when you do surgery, you pull it out of the back before you put the stent in. Just like pizza cheese. That's, I didn't think about that, but it was just like pizza cheese. That's what it looks like. Because that's what you get the pizza cheese doesn't have to cool down to 96 when it's hard. It's hard.
Hard.
It's still cheese. That's what it's about. Now that picture really helps you see why.
And remember also the cheese has a lot of sodium inside. That's another thing for your blood pressure and your heart and your brain, because it all adds up. It all adds up because you're not just taking one item, one substance in there, but it's a combination. Like when they were talking about the animals, they eat the plants, and then we eat the animal to get the plants. That is our protein secondhand. Why not eat the plants and bypass the animal? Because you wouldn't have all those toxins, all those pesticides, all those antibiotics, all those the cholesterol, the whole package that comes with it. You have to take it because it's from the animal.
Okay, they were saying when it comes to the meats, it was saying that when it comes to the meats, that it's like say if you get hamburger, it's better. And I know you said that meat altogether, meat is bad. But no, they were saying that when you get your meat, it's like get grass-fed meat. It's like when you do decide to eat it, eat grass-fed meat, because what they're doing now with like, say like with pigs and cows and other animals, they're feeding them like corn that is genetically modified corn. And they were like, you know, and it's like if you're gonna eat cow meat, or say if you're gonna eat lamb, you want grass fed. You don't want it where they're giving you the corn, because cows don't eat corn. Cows don't eat wheat. You know, you want grass fed.
Just this issue about, because I heard the corn. Cows shouldn't eat corn because it changes the genetic makeup of the animal itself. And so the meat then becomes more dangerous to the individual. Now, cows normally ate grass. Now, we may not like the slime, but the slime is not the problem. But either way, whether it is slime or corn, the animal itself, eating the animal itself is problematic for you. You were not really designed. And so it's not just the fat, but they also have a higher phosphate rate. So if you eat, say, animal products and the higher phosphate rate, what happens? Your body needs to get rid of the phosphorus that was in the animal. So what the body needs to do that is vitamin D. Now, this is a little complicated, but it's not so much. You need vitamin D to get rid of the phosphorus in your body. So how do you normally get vitamin D? They tell you to drink milk, right? Or something, right? Yeah, sunlight, right? But normally sometimes, so let me back up. So you say you get the sunlight, so you drink your milk, you took your vitamin to get the vitamin D because you got the extra phosphorus from your body. The problem that you now have, especially for women, this is a women's issue, you need vitamin D to utilize calcium, right? So now you're a meat eater. The body says, I have to get rid of the phosphorus. The body first will get rid of the phosphorus. That means it will use all your vitamin D to get rid of the phosphorus. But now as a woman, you need calcium. You will urinate out the calcium because you have no more vitamin D. So now here goes a woman, you're taking all these calcium pills because your doctor told you to do that. You're eating the meat, but then he comes up and says, ma'am, I'm sorry, you don't have calcium. And he gives you more calcium. You went home eating more meat and you'll see it. You go to get your serum checked and it says you have a lot of calcium in your blood. That's what they'll tell you. You're not realizing it's the meat that's preventing you from absorbing the calcium. So it's not just one thing that the animal does to you. It's a series of problems that it creates. So overall, especially for women that after they get to that menopausal area, but at any stage, you want to eliminate the problem that's going to come in the future by not having enough calcium. And that's coming because of what's found in the meat itself. So it's not just the fat, as John is clearly talking about. It's the other aspects that you find in the meat. And it's not just, okay, the meat is damaged because of the corn. Whether he eats corn or not, he still has phosphorus. He still has fat. He still creates a problem. And you will have that problem. You know, so we have to address the whole issue behind the meat itself. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just for the camera's sake. Mhm. Cholesterol. Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so we're still arguing, or our discussion is still coming from a place of defeat. And I want, yeah, I want to just start from there initially, because some people will say, okay, they have good fish. Okay, I hear that, but it's like it's good poison. You don't really have good poison. Poison is poison. Now, some will kill you faster than the others. So that's really where we're discussing it from. So some people might say, well, I'm going to eat, I won't eat farm raised salmon, because when it's trapped in that water source, all the pesticides run into that water hole, right? That's what it means. When it's farm raised, everything that's on the land washes into that little puddle. The fish will eat it, become contaminated, and then you will eat the fish and you become contaminated. So I'm going to eat wild caught salmon from Alaska. So that's what happens. That's what they sell it in the store. It costs you more per pound. See, that's what it is, right? Wild caught doesn't mean the water is fresh. Do you know all waters are connected, right? So first, get that in your mind. All waters are connected. Second, there is pollution in Alaska. Yeah, there's pollution in Alaska. So whether or not is in a pond, it might be more toxic than what's in the sea. But at the end of the day, you take the fish, you take it to a lab, it has toxins in it. Now, upstairs, we were talking about a term called biomagnification. It's a big word that doesn't really, well, it means something. I'll explain it. This fish that you caught in the store, because they don't catch baby fish to sell in the store, they catch a bigger fish to sell in the store. That fish ate a fish that was smaller than it was, who ate a fish that was smaller, who ate a fish that was smaller, who ate a fish that was smaller, who ate toxin. So that fish was toxin straight from the source. This fish also got toxin, but he also ate the smaller one. This one has toxin. He ate that toxin, and it goes up until you bought it in the store. He says, oh, that fish looks really good. Now you eat that fish and you have all that toxin in you. It magnified as it went up the food chain. So it becomes that much more toxic for you. And you see it, and sometimes we laugh about it, or you might be watching TV. I love the drug commercials. This medicine gives you, maybe get a risk of cancer, but you also take this medicine. And this has a risk of cancer, but you also take this medicine, and that has a risk of cancer. Now, this, and this you take. It magnifies in you. So we don't want to discuss from a defeated point, meaning some toxins are better than the other. We have to get the principle that this thing is deadly to me. And what I'm trying to do is change the way I think. I'm trying to get a paradigm shift. This is bad. Because it's easy to slip back. Well, they have some good fish, you know. I had a good burger last week, or that was good alcohol. It wasn't, you know, we have that way of thinking. That's what we do. But we have to start from the premise that this is bad, this is good. And I don't want to deal with what's bad. Right here. 1 second, microphone for the sake of the video.
Thank you. Years ago, when I was a kid, grew up in the Bronx, my parents sent me to a Jewish day camp.
Okay.
Because of the food that they would serve me. Because most of the day camps in the Bronx serves you pork and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned something from going to a Jewish day camp. It was Orthodox. They do not serve meat and cheese together. And I learned the reason why meat and cheese not served together, they become a carcinogen in your body, which is cancer causing. Mm-hmm. So that's 1 and 1 equals 2. But if you take the one by itself, it still doesn't. It is still cancer causing. So whether you want to magnify the cancer by having them both together, you can do that. But if you still eat the one by itself, you still increase your risk.
Exactly. My daughters went to a little Jewish school when they were younger because public schools is terrible then when they were older. But yeah, ultimately, that's the point. They both are going to be damaging to you. And so we have to keep that in our mind. That's why that very first presentation was important, the paradigm shift. Our thinking has to change. We have to get out the idea that a little bit of bad is good. Because that's what we do. A little bit of bad is still bad. That's what so once something is classified as dangerous, don't do it. What you're trying to do is move away from that danger. Now, this morning, I presented something for males, and I want to repeat that. I repeated it upstairs. I want to repeat it down here. The latest findings, the most current is that processed, quote unquote, good meats, that's chicken breast and turkey breast that are sliced or diced, that you get them in the store, that you get at Subway, that have limited fat, are dangerous to males in terms of creating prostate cancer. So you have those male 35, 45, that is dangerous to them. Let them know that, because we've been running out going to Subway. Well, I'll take that one and I'll get it sliced. Something in the processing is dangerous. And cancer is interesting. You know, if you said to someone, asbestos is over there, right? Would you go over there? Do you know that processed meats are as the same rating as the asbestos? But we say, oh, I get some, because nobody talks about it, you see. So we have to know that. So I'm repeating it because they're young males. I know a lot of them in that 35 area, and they go for that because it's the other meat. It's supposed to be healthy. No, it's dangerous for you, period. Okay, so I just wanted to cover those points now. I think you got one more video or something like that. Yes, now upstairs, their videos are longer. What's 15 minutes here is 24 minutes upstairs because of the translation and everything. All right.
We've talked a lot about nutrition theory, and now it's time to make it practical. Transitioning to a green light diet can be overwhelming. If you're like most people, you're a creature of habit. You're already used to buying, preparing, and eating certain types of foods. If you want to improve your diet but don't know where to start, keep listening. In this film, Brenda will share some practical tips for purchasing, preparing, and enjoying healthy food.
The first step is to give your kitchen a makeover. And I'm not talking about new appliances or paint. I'm talking about what's inside your pantry and fridge. You've probably heard the saying that there are no good foods and no bad foods. This has been a key message of national nutrition campaigns for years. The idea is that any food can be part of a nutritious diet if it's eaten in moderation. This is generally true if the bulk of the diet comes from healthy foods and an occasional treat is thrown in. But what happens when the majority of a person's diet consists of foods that are high in calories but low in nutrients? Disease happens. Diseases like heart disease and diabetes. It's no mere coincidence that 70% of our population dies prematurely from lifestyle-related diseases. The idea that all foods are okay serves to justify the consumption of many unhealthy foods. But why do these messages continue to be promoted? Why is so much of our nutrition education dollar directed toward feel-good messages when so many people need desperately to learn how to make choices that promote health and prevent disease? The answer has more to do with politics than nutrition. Nationwide nutrition campaigns are often sponsored by the meat, dairy, confectionery, and soda industries, the very industries that are responsible for increased disease risk. Could it be that the sponsoring organizations are more comfortable with campaigns that promote everything in moderation than they would be encouraging people to eat more beans and vegetables and less meat and processed food? The truth is that some foods are incredibly damaging to health, while others are very protective. And that's why the first step in your kitchen makeover is to take out the trash. In other words, get rid of the foods that are damaging your health. Red light foods are a great place to start. Say goodbye to refined carbs and sweets, unhealthy processed and packaged foods, red light meats, full fat dairy and eggs, oily foods, foods high in salt and sugar, and red light beverages. Hopefully, you'll also choose to ditch some of the yellow light foods, such as white meat and low-fat dairy products. It may feel wasteful to let go of these foods, but think of it as a huge investment in your health. It's very difficult to follow a healthy diet when you're surrounded by unhealthy foods. By clearing the harmful foods out of your life, you can create room for the foods that will help you to heal. The second step in your kitchen makeover is to stock up on healthy groceries. It goes without saying that if you fill your kitchen with healthy foods, you'll also fill your plate with them. Here's some green light staples to keep on hand. Fresh and frozen vegetables such as dark leafy greens, broccoli, carrots, tomatoes, cucumber, bell peppers, cabbage, mushrooms, zucchini, sprouts, and other non-starchy veggies. Dried or canned beans, hummus, tofu, and milk substitutes such as almond or soy milk, intact whole grains such as quinoa, brown, black, or wild rice, barley, and oat groats. Starchy vegetables such as potatoes, yams, winter squash, and corn. Whole fresh fruits such as apples, pears, bananas, oranges, mangoes, peaches, plums, melons, and berries. And whole food fats such as avocados, nuts, seeds, coconut, and olives. You can also purchase non-hydrogenated nut and seed butters. Good choices for yellow light groceries include heavy whole grain breads, pastas, and crackers, pasta sauce, oatmeal, and healthy meat substitutes. Once your kitchen is stocked with healthy foods, you'll need to know how to prepare them. Wes, can you tell us about some of the excellent resources that would help people with this?
Sure, Brenda. At lifeandhealth.org, you can find a variety of delicious diabetes-friendly recipes and watch short cooking videos to learn how to make them. You can also watch Cooking 101 videos to learn the basics of green light cooking. Make sure you visit Brenda's website, BrendaDavisRD.com, where you'll find a collection of healthy recipes as well as information about her books, which I highly recommend. Defeating Diabetes, Becoming Vegan, Becoming Raw, the Raw Food Revolution Diet, and Becoming Vegetarian all contain a wealth of health information and a variety of delicious plant-based recipes.
If you're not much of a cook, don't despair. Healthy eating doesn't have to take a lot of preparation. It doesn't take long to make a veggie sandwich on whole grain bread with avocado, hummus, or veggie meat, to toss a salad, or to make a veggie burrito. Stock up on fresh fruits and veggies for healthy sides. Many grocery and health food stores provide healthy alternatives for frozen dinners, deli foods, canned goods, and even packaged foods. Just make sure to read labels and avoid red light ingredients such as added sugar, fat, and salt. The important thing is to find new food habits that work for you. This takes some practice, so be persistent. with just a little time and effort, you can transform your kitchen into a haven of delicious, healthy choices.
We've talked a
So we did receive some advice on reading the labels and how we go shopping. And to crown it all was a very simple summer blast salad. So it's, if you don't take the time to do that now, you would have to take the time to go to the hospital, see the doctor, have a stent, and all the other things associated with those who do not look after themselves. You have to look after you. You cannot depend on the doctor to do that. If you get into an accident or there's an emergency, then that takes care of itself. But to go and to have your blood sugar monitored, your annual checkup, or whenever it is scheduled, you need to pay attention to that. So because if you don't do your homework, what will the teacher do? You fail. Isn't that so? So just as you would go to college, you have to do your homework also on your body. That is important.
Had a good friend, and his good friend's father-in-law was hospitalized. And the doctor literally said, there is nothing we can do. And they said that because of his breakfast every single morning. He ate bacon and eggs 7 days a week
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah.
When he got sick, he looked at his arteries.
Yes.
He basically said, we can't do a thing. And he did die.
Yeah.
So it goes to show
Show.
you
Mhm.
you are what you eat.
Yeah.
And we have to be cognizant as to what we put into our own body.
Mhm.
I remember someone saying there was an old man,
Mhm.
and it was, I believe, over in England. And they said the king was trying to find out, why did this old man live as long as he did?
That man was Thomas Parr.
Oh.
He was 152 years old.
Yeah, and it's like, what are you doing? And it's like, he did good as long as he ate what he had been eating all along. And it's like he
Didn't
had his
change.
oatmeal or his porridge and
Rice, potatoes and the water. Yeah.
and he started getting worse once he started eating the same food
Mm,
that the king started eating.
yeah.
Because I forgot how long they said that man.
He died.
Hmm?
And it's the same night he died. Because he was not accustomed to eating the king's delicacies.
Yeah.
And they buried him. It's a true story. In Westminster Abbey in England, you can go and find Tom Spar's grave. He died at the age of 152. And they said that when the king asked him what he ate, he just ate simple potatoes and oatmeal and water. That was how he was able to live to 152. There is in India, in the Himalayas mountains, a tribe called the Hunza tribe. The women give birth at 150 years old. Yes. Hunza Indians in the Himalayas mountains between Tibet and India. They live up to 250 years old. And guess what's their diet? They walk up and down the mountains, they drink yak milk, and they eat potatoes and the vegetables that they grow in the time. Yak milk is an animal, yak milk.
But you,
And spring water.
but you know what's so funny
Huh?
about that though?
Hunzas, the Hunzas. Check it out. Let go. Yeah, 250, up to 250 years. Recorded.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I remember one man telling me, he says, you know what? He says, you know why I'm as strong as I am? He said, because I drank my mother's milk
Mhm.
until I was like 5 or 6 years old. He
Yeah.
says, and that's why I'm so strong.
45.
He says, with that, but you're still finding people now who are living that long, or living up to 100 and
Mhm.
over 100. We
Mhm.
still have stars. Okay. Some people in the entertainment building and the entertainment business who are like 80, 90 years old. And how could they be living that long? What are they doing? You ask them what they're doing. Some of them are eating fresh fruit and vegetables and
Mm.
say like,
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke,
Okay.
he still dances
Mhm.
as young as he is.
Yeah, the dietitian mentioned the blue zones. Yeah, by Ed Buettner, that's a research guy that went to all those countries around the world,
Yeah.
California, Lubbock, San Adventist, and in Costa Rica, and the Greek island, and it has been researched and documented that your diet, what you are, you are what you eat. There's
Because
no
I know we
mistake about it.
hear that Mediterranean diet. But what I wanted to ask you was regarding the sugars. I know there's the bad high fructose.
Yeah, the high
The-
fructose corn syrup.
Let me ask you, I know with me, I've given up white sugar. What I have, when I decide I want something sweet, I have honey in my house. Because I heard like honey is funny. It's one of those foods that's pre-digested by the bees.
Mhm, correct.
It's like I have honey, I have maple syrup, I have agave nectar, which I'm thinking about getting off of. I've been hearing about monk fruit
Monk fruit. Yeah.
is good. And also regarding the salt, I hear like Celtic sea salt is good.
Mhm.
And they say, some people say the Himalayan
Himalayan
pink
pink
salt.
salt also there.
is
Yeah,
good.
that's what they brought. Mhm.
So what do you recommend as far as the sweets and the salt?
Well, the better thing, according to this program, is to use your fruits as your sugars. That's
Okay.
the best. That's the optimum we're
Okay,
talking about.
well, I'm asking about that because if I make tea,
Mhm. You don't need sugar in your tea.
okay, because I don't,
You could just take your tea bag in the water and you drink it. That's tea. As soon
Okay.
as you start, like remember they spoke about the flour, the bleach flour, you add salt, sugar, fat, coloring, and that is where the problem comes in. As long as you start to add, you start to take away. So it's natural state. So tea bag, the antioxidants and then the flavonoids are in a tea bag. Sometimes the sugar destroys it. You don't need sugar in the tea. just drink the hot water and the tea.
Okay,
Yeah.
I asked that because I hear about the Manuka honey from the
Okay,
field,
yeah. Well,
and I
mhm.
think that Manuka is good. Okay,
So there are a lot of
So-
fake stuff out there.
try to work my way down
Yeah.
in the sugar when I get the sugar.
Yeah, because you see the sugar that you find in your banana or your strawberry or in your mango, it's natural. That is packed by nature. There's nothing processed about that. It's natural state. That's what you're looking for. That's
Because
what
I
you're
know
for.
I have, when I have my tea, and I even watch the ingredients on the tea, is that I may put like some lemon or lime in my tea. So is that all? That's all right, putting
Yeah,
some lemon
yeah,
or
it's
lime?
added to the water. They drink the water, they put out some slice of lemon or lemon juice. It's natural. It's natural.
And what's the better water to drink? Spring water, alkaline water, distilled water? Because somebody was telling me distilled water is good.
Well,
I'm just saying, I've
Mhm.
heard different things. So if I want to drink water or just good old New York City.
Good
apple
old water. The good old water, the bottled water, it's safe for spring water. It's from the spring, but once it's not has other added components to it. That's it. Natural spring water.
Okay.
Because that's what the Hunsers drink. The spring water. As opposed to on mountain, as the ice melts and it comes in the spring, that's what they used to drink. Natural spring water.
I know we had a cousin and on her property, she had water that actually came up from the ground.
Yeah.
And people used to go and get that. They were saying that was the best water. They.
Well, it's the same thing too. There's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
A friend of mine's on the job. He was from the island. And what happened was he was telling me about spring water. He was saying, as a kid, my grandfather would take me all the way out into the ocean to this certain area.
Mhm.
And he'd give me a cup. And he told me to take the cup and dip it right into the ocean
Ocean.
and drink it. And the water was spring water,
Mhm.
right? No salt.
Okay.
And he didn't taste no salt water at all. It was natural spring water coming up.
Out of the
In the
ocean. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So,
could be
yeah.
possible. Yeah. Mhm. Okay. If there's not anything else. So what we Eternal Father, we are grateful today for this session that we have completed with the Diabetes Undone program. We're thankful for the information that has been presented by the dietitian, Mr. Brenda, and also Dr. Young. We're thankful for those who have come to listen, to participate, to learn more about how to protect our health and to live longer, stronger, and better lives. We ask that the information we receive, we'll apply it and also help others to learn the same thing that we have learned so their lives could be improved. We ask His mercy in Jesus' name. Amen. Forward to seeing you next week for our 4th session. good.